So the first thing I have to do is decide what color do I want this leaf. Now, sometimes I use leaves natural, the same color that you see here. This one is a darker green on one side, lighter green on the other. So I thought it would be fun to give it a little of a jewel tone and then utilize one of my hole punches to actually punch out maybe a flower or some flower petals with once it's dried. So let's give it a whirl. The first color I'm going to use is this sailboat blue. And I'm going to put some on the tip. I will tell you that I have found most leaves, once they're completely dry, will absorb the alcohol inks pretty quickly. It literally saturates down through, as you can see here. I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit. Pretty neat. And see how it's starting to spread out on its own? That was only, what, 2 drops? So you have to be a little bit patient, and it will start to actually spread out within the plant. It's really, really cool. Sometimes I give it a helping hand, and I'll sort of go, look at that, how it grabs onto the edge of the margin of the leaf. It's really almost as if it's turned into paper, like parchment paper. It's really beautiful. All right, I'm going to add a skosh more up here. And I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to alternate. I don't want the whole thing blue. I want it to just have, like, I want it to end up being sort of like, just sort of mottled and almost like an ink blot. Because I'm not going to be using this leaf as a whole. I'm going to be cutting it out. Now, I have this other color called Stream, and it's got some blue, and I think it's got a little bit of greenish tone to it. Once I add some mixative, you'll sort of see how the colors sort of meld. Believe it or not, I am going to add a little lime green. So I'm going to change the color. Like I said, I'm doing some, I want this to end up being sort of jewel tone. All right. And then a little yellow for brightness. I know purple is usually a jewel tone, but when I sometimes add red and blue on a green, once I get some brown and blackish tones. All right, are you ready? This is where it gets really fun. I love this part. Look at that. It sort of cooks almost. How cool is that? You see that right there? This is like, that looks like the ocean, doesn't it? And then those are like the waves. They're sort of waking. That's like a, whoa, check that one out. How epic. Oh, it's so cool. All right, let's lighten up some down here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It creates almost like a tributary. It's like it's coming alive in front of you. And that's the dark deep where like the Loch Ness monster lives. Whoa. All right. We're gonna give a little more up there. And what I'll do is I'll go back, and if there's too much white, I'll go back with some of the color that I'm using. I think that's a little too dark right there, so I'm going to just lighten that up. And I'm going to be patient. This is my problem a lot of times when I'm working with this, is I'm not patient enough. But if you wait, look. See how it sort of just envelops within the ink? It's so cool. So once I think it's sort of stopped doing its thing, like, all right, I got to go back. So I have to decide what color I want to finish off. So I think I'm going to put a little more blue. And this one was the Stream, which kind of makes sense, right? I said it looked like a tributary. And a little more Stream up there. I am barely squeezing the bottle. Like I'm barely touching it. I mean, it's just like a tiny drop. So honestly, I know these are expensive, but like literally you will have them for a really long time because you barely use anything when you're done. I'm going to put a little more green in there. A little more green. And it's still wet. As long as it's wet, that mixative should start to sort of work. See how those cells are happening? Wouldn't this be cool to turn into some sort of like dish? Like put some resin over it and like have it like a, I don't know, like a soap dish or something. All right. I don't want it to get too dark. And right now I'm feeling like, I know there's a couple spots that are, see how there's right here, there's some spots. So I'll use whatever I have literally lying around that I've used tips of plant material. Let me grab something here. Like I've got this zinnia, so I'll use the end of a zinnia stick and just touch in there. Because I don't want to add more ink. I think it's got plenty. And then I'll just go touch. It's like I'm looking for the little. Check that out. Look, look at the cell. It's so cool. If I pull it in, I can kind of play with it a little bit. It's awesome. So if you're new to alcohol ink, all the fun you're missing if you've never used it. And I'm using this literally on a leaf. Okay, perfect. That is going to be beautiful. Stay tuned.